Hello, welcome to virtual back to school night. My name is Christina Baker and I'm your child's Algebra 2 teacher this year. I'm so excited to have them and just to see everybody back on campus. It's been great. I am loving my classes. I have 3 classes of Algebra 2 and they're awesome. I mean it. Your kids are wonderful. They're working hard. They're very respectful. And so far, I'm seeing really good things. So thank you for that. I think they're doing great. I'm looking forward to working with them. We're going to learn a lot in Algebra 2 this year. So I don't want to make this a super long video because I know you have several to watch. So I might just show you a few things. And then if you have questions, you can always email me. So this is the best way to get in touch with me. And I usually can get back to you pretty quickly on Gmail. Up here, I wrote something about Remind. That's an app where students can text me, and they've already signed up for that. And it's kind of neat because it's private, so it doesn't show our phone numbers, but I can get in touch with them pretty easily and vice versa. So if I only had one thing that I could share with you on this, on the video, I would say, I want to show you the agenda for our class because it's a live document and I update it after every class. And I think it's going to be most helpful for students, especially if they have to miss class. Because since we're on the block schedule and math is, it's so dependent on like some of the previous concepts that you learned that if you miss one big chunk, it's a lot. So trying to stay on top of the material when absent is really helpful so that, students don't get like derailed from the course or just the concepts that we're in. If a student needs help outside of class, there's lots of options. So I'm just going to show you the agenda. And this is what I present to students before every class. So this, for example, was our agenda on August 25th. If you scroll down, you can see all the other dates that we had so far that we met. So every day is going to be a little different. And at the bottom, the highlighted section is basically what their homework is from that, assigned from that day. So I did in this one something highlighted in red because it's important that they're going to have the students have their first quiz coming up on September 2nd. And for office hours, so students know that I'm available at lunch on these days, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and that's pretty much open invitation. I'm always there, but if they would like to meet at a different time, I'm also available by appointment. So that's just something we need to work out, and they can email or talk to me in person. So a lot of times students will need this if they're absent and they need to catch up on something, or they have to make up a test or a quiz, or they just want to get some clarification and better understanding on a concept. We also have these volunteer tutors named Jay and Leo. So students know about them. They've been working with our school for about 5 years, and they're wonderful. So I highly recommend Jay or Leo. Leo also can tutor in science. Jay has worked with a lot of my Algebra 2 students, and mainly I get students who want to work with him to go over like studying for a test. And they are free. They're retired. They're really great guys, and they're giving back to the community, and they've been very helpful. If you were to meet with them, it would be on Zoom. So they're just doing Zoom appointments right now, which they said worked really well for last year. So during this class, I always go over the homework no matter what homework it is. So I always tell students, please check your answers. I post all the answers on Google Classroom and School Loop. So, oops, I don't know what I did. So most of my students like Google Classroom, so that's why I put it there. It's also a lot easier to upload assignments if they need to. I'm not doing uploads right now because we're in person, so I don't need them to like take a picture of their homework or anything. I collect all their work in person. If they're absent and they want to upload it, just so they get it in, that's fine too. But you can see the categories are based off each week. So this was our most recent week, and these are all the assignments that we did. So if a student's absent, they can see like when it's due and what was posted. but they can also kind of refer back to the agenda and kind of coordinate it that way. So on this day, I gave students a resource page. Looks like this. So if they're home and you have access to a printer, you can at least get started and print it out. I will always have a copy for them when they come back to class, but it's more like if they want to get ahead or they don't want to have to miss out. And then this was the classwork that we worked on Thursday. So your students were working on using those graphing calculators, and they were finding these critical points of the graphs and the domain and range. So that was one of their first assignments with the calculator. And that was just for class. So for homework, I also post a link to the answers. So we did 4 of those graphs in class, and then their homework was to finish 4 on their own. But the answer keys are there, and I do expect students to do their own work, but use that as a resource to check their answers. And then we can always go over stuff during class. This particular day, we also went over something called a calculator tip sheet. So we started writing down all the tips to how to use the calculator. Because a lot of times they'll forget. Like one day they'll remember it, and then the next day they'll say, how do you graph again? So I don't usually answer them until they look at their tip sheet. So it's kind of like their key, and then they can use it on like a test or a quiz. So that's encouraging to make sure they keep up with it. And then I'm going to go back to this agenda. So homework, I do grade for accuracy. I don't just grade for if they completed the assignment. If I give a student, I dock points and I give them a 7 out of 10 on a homework, they have an opportunity to fix it. So they always have that, they can restore their grade, especially on homework, but they have to do it in a quick turnaround. So if I give a homework back on a Monday, I tell them, all right, give it back to me tomorrow if you want to fix it. Most of them turn it around within the same period, and they give it right back to me. But also for the tests and quizzes. So if you notice, they're worth a lot more than just the homework assignments overall. And I want students to know, and parents, that, on the tests and quizzes, they're worth a lot, but they have an opportunity to retake any test or quiz that they want. So a lot of students ask about, are there test corrections? But we're steering away from that, and more if you want to retake it and you need some extra time to learn it, or you had a bad test day, or something came up the night before and you didn't have a chance to study, or whatever came down that you want to retake the test, that's always going to be available. I do encourage students not to take advantage of that, just because, after we complete a unit, we're going to start moving on to new stuff. So you don't want to be focusing on the old stuff and then now you're lost with the new stuff. But it's always going to be an opportunity. And that has really helped students. So I think that's what I'm going to end on, just because I feel like it's been a long time and you have lots of videos to watch. But I'm really excited. You have wonderful kids. I'm not just saying that, they're great. And I'm pretty lucky. So thank you, and have a good night.